Hello everybody, it's Girl Got Game, and welcome to another Gander video. Today I am checking out The Knight's Dilemma by Transparent Games, a name you probably recognize because I've tried a couple other of their games before, and this was another one they asked me to check out, and I'm looking forward to doing so today. The story for this one is Dahlia Wintone, I think, either Wintone or Winton, has been a knight of the Kingdom of Thorntone, or Thornton, for several years. During her service, she became not only Queen Linda's trusted protector, but a close confidant as well. But now Linda has passed away, and her son Elton has taken the throne. Dahlia swears her loyalty to him, but after only a week, the new monarch begins to show his incompetence. In light of Elton's bad reign, Dahlia faces a dilemma. Should she try to change the king's ways, or give up on him and join the rebellion? Ooh. So we got two boys in our future to choose from. Let's see which one catches my fancy. Let's begin. Looks pretty neat so far. I like this throne room. The nobles fill the throne room, their colorful outfits a sight to behold. They are all kneeling, witnessing the event we have all gathered here for today. I have taken a knee too. I'm close to the podium on which the throne sits. Up until the late queen's death, I was her personal knight. Today I will be appointed to serve the new king. There he is. The priest puts the crown on the new monarch's head. Elton Thornton looks elegant in the richly embroidered outfit he wears. I hope somebody says a name at some point so that I know how to pronounce this properly. A smug smile graces his lips. Of course he's pleased with the power that he receives today. Who wouldn't feel the same after being raised as the first prince and preparing for this event all their lives? Yet I can't help but feel apprehensive when I think about Elton ruling over us all. I still mourn the loss of our gracious Queen Linda, his mother. It's been a week since she passed, and it seems like the world has moved on already. But I have not, and I suspect I won't forget her easily. Our silhouetted queen. The queen often had me act beyond my station. As a personal knight, I was supposed to guard her, to always walk a few steps behind her, looking out for danger. But she had me walk right next to her instead, and converse with me like we were equals. I guess I could say we were both lonely women who found consolation in each other's presence.
What do you think about roses?
I don't have strong opinions about flowers.
What about dahlias? You're named after them. Surely that makes them special to you.
Sure.
I guess dahlias are the only flowers I care about.
Not very much, but every little bit counts, right? The queen's smile grows brighter. She's happy that I like flowers. After all, walking in the garden and admiring them are her favorite pastimes.
I knew you liked these flowers. After all, you are as beautiful and graceful as they are.
You flatter me, Your Grace.
Oh, don't be shy.
I'm embarrassed about being praised in such a way, but at the same time, happiness warms my heart.
You worthless piece of shit!
Yes, Your Highness? Our conversation is interrupted by shouting. The queen gathers her skirts and walks quickly in the direction of the noise. I follow. After rounding a corner, we see the first Prince Elton standing over one of his knights. The knight is on his butt on the ground, looking at the prince with confusion.
You've almost stepped on my heels! Who told you that you could dare walk so close to the first prince?
I'm sorry, Your Grace. I didn't mean to offend you.
But you did!
I send the queen a worried glance. I'll keep quiet. The queen and I exchange glances. She shakes her head, sending me a silent message that we shouldn't interfere. I nod, even though I want to protect the knight on the ground. But I can't go against the first prince without the queen's permission.
Take him away and have him whipped. 10 lashes for disrespecting the prince.
Elton commands his other knights. They take away the offender without a word. Scenes like this aren't unusual when it comes to the First Prince. He's not known for fair judgment or an easy temper. Quite the opposite. He gets angry and offended easily.
Mother!
Mother! When Elton notices the Queen, he runs up to us with a sweet smile. The Queen smiles at him, and they talk to each other like the prior scene never happened. Queen Linda had overbearing parents. That's why she's lenient with Elton. I don't agree with such a way of raising the First Prince. However, it's not my place to voice my opinion on the matter. I can't judge the Queen herself. Okay. A little bit of background. I push aside the bad feelings I have towards Elton. It doesn't matter what he's like. He's the rightful heir. He's arrogant and has a short temper, but maybe those flaws won't lead him to be a bad king? It's my duty to put my trust in the new monarch and to serve him and protect him. She is very pretty, Dahlia. I look up towards the throne. In the time I've spent thinking about the past, Elton has been crowned and is now sitting on the throne, staring everyone down with a harsh expression.
Dahlia Wintone, step forward.
Wintone. Okay. Thank you, Elton. He calls me in front of him, and I come. I kneel in front of the throne. The king gets up and takes the ceremonial sword from an aide.
Do you swear you will always protect me as a knight?
I hesitate for a moment, but I can't leave behind my position and the life I've built at the castle. And at the end of the day, Elton is Linda's son, my last connection to the Queen. I need to put my faith in the new king.
I swear I will always protect you, my king.
The ceremonial sword touches my arm. It's cold and heavy.
You are my knight now. May you serve me well.
The nobles behind us cheer. I take a place on the other side of the podium and witness the oaths of the other knights who served under Linda. Do they have the same doubts I do? Or am I the only one with so many thoughts? Also, just a quick aside, I love the dahlias on the side here. That is really nice. It's pretty. The first week after the new monarch's coronation passes by quickly. On the day King Elton holds his first hearing with all the people who come to him directly with problems, I stand by the podium, protecting him in case anyone has any funny ideas. The first two men approach, dressed in fine clothes, betraying that they belong to the merchant class.
What do you come to me with?
My king, Mr. Brownie here and I share the right to import silk to the kingdom. We have equal shares in the business.
But I no longer want to work with Mr. Humes. Lately, we cannot agree on anything.
Yes, we want to split our businesses and go our separate ways. But who should retain the right to silk imports?
In our contract, it states that it's something the king has to decide.
They both look at Elton with hope in their eyes. The king looks thoughtful for a moment.
I think there is only one solution to this problem. I will revoke the rights for both of you to trade silk.
But, my king, that's...
I have made my decision.
I mirror the shock on the merchants' faces. With those words, the king has destroyed the businesses of these two merchants.
What are you waiting for? Leave! Next!
The merchants scramble away, still unsure if what happened was real. The next one to come up to the podium is the Minister of
I'm
Wealth.
the Minister of Wealth, my liege. Today I'm here to propose a new tax on the common folk.
He then begins a long-winded explanation. What he proposes is exploitative and will unnecessarily burden the poor. Surely Elton will see that.
Approved. Next.
What? The minister smiles and walks away. Two noble lords, red in their faces, approach the
He
king.
called me a pighead, my king. Such a slight cannot go unpunished.
But he commented on my choice of attire being poor. My suit comes from the most popular seamstress in the capital. It's not poor.
So, you had an argument. Is that all there is to this story?
My liege, his very existence is such a slight.
I demand something be done about this outrageous man.
Elton gestures to the knight on the opposite side from me.
Escort these two to the dungeon.
This one I kind of approve of.
The dungeon? But, my liege!
No!
They shout in protest, but the knight and the guards manage to drag both the lords away from the throne room. That was too big of a punishment for something so petty. In my opinion, Elton hasn't made a single good judgment today. But who cares about the opinion of a knight? Whatever the king's decisions are, nobody can do anything about them. That's a grim thought. I hope the kingdom won't burn under Elton's rule. I can't help but think that... Okay, big choice. I take it this is probably going to take us down the rebel route, and this is the Elton route. I'll try. I usually, in most games, I try to be like the white knight. Goody goody first run through, and then, not saying the rebels are bad, but you know, go with the kind of gray, darker options the next time. Let's try this. Maybe there's hope? I don't know. But it's only been a week since Elton started ruling over the kingdom. Maybe with time, he will learn right from wrong and won't make such terrible decisions. Everyone makes mistakes. I shouldn't judge him too harshly. Maybe there's still hope for Thorntone. Maybe? I dodge my opponent's attack. He's hasty, issuing a stab with his sword at my right arm. But I'm quicker than him, smarter than him. I whirl around and put my weapon to his neck.
Good fight.
Such a cute expression on her, I love that. The knight nods, smiling at me with admiration in his gaze.
Another round.
Maybe later.
Now that we've stopped fighting, I can feel the thoughts rush back to my mind. It's been 3 weeks since Elton took over the throne. Ever since his coronation, I've been to 3 hearings where he judged over the people of Thorntone. And every time he judged unwisely. I let out a deep sigh and go sit in the shadow of the castle. Yet I still haven't given up hope that with time Elton will learn to rule over the kingdom more fairly. Even though I've seen how incompetent he was in his past hearings, how cruel, how arrogant with his judgment, he's still Linda's son. I hope some of the Queen's good nature is present in him. Somewhere. I just have to look for it. But what can a knight such as myself do? Nothing, that's what. Could I reach out to help him somehow? I had spent a lot of time around Linda, so I knew how she thought. Maybe I could explain her ways to Elton. What would stop Elton from beheading me for stepping out of line, though? My job is to be his sword and shield, not to teach him how to rule. Hadn't he received lessons on governing from his teachers? Is this our room? After spending all of my free day training, I returned to my room. I've lived here for 10 years, ever since I started serving the Queen as her faithful knight. The bed is the most comfortable place to me, and the wardrobe holds the belongings I have gathered over the years. If I had to part with this place, I would be devastated. It's more of a home to me than my father's mansion was. I'm the daughter of an insignificant noble, but I never had a good relationship with my family. Honestly, Linda was more of a family to me than my parents ever were, but I can't admit that fact out loud to anybody. I miss Linda. Her smile, the conversations we had. I can't believe she's gone now and that the kingdom is such a mess in her absence. A knock on the door takes me out of my grim thoughts. Who could it be at this hour? Oh, hello, hooded figure. A hooded figure stands at my threshold. The man smiles and takes off his hood.
It's Hale Harlow, one of Linda's aides.
Oh, hello, Hale.
Mr. Harlow, what are you doing at my door at this hour?
With that awesome hair. Hale doesn't lose his smile. He leans on the doorframe, looming over me. I'm tall, but he's even taller than me.
We need to talk. Just you and I. In private.
I cross my arms. This man is known for his flirtiness. Why did I expect a different response? Oh no, he's flirty. I'm weak to that, though.
Says who?
Hale sobers up when he sees my resistance.
It's about the late queen. Please, let me in, Dahlia, dear. There's something really important we need to talk about.
My eyes widen as I step aside, letting him in. As Hale looks around my room, I take a moment to remember the day we first met. Go flashback. Our first meeting was 4 years ago in the garden when I was running an errand for Linda.
Oh, hello there. I don't believe we've ever been introduced. What's your name, dear?
I think I've seen this man exiting the Queen's chambers many times before, but indeed we've never spoken.
It's Dahlia Wintone. And you are?
A beautiful name for a gorgeous lady.
The man bows to me and I roll my eyes. So dramatic.
I'm Hale Harlow, one of the Queen's aides.
He's Linda's aide? If so, why have I never heard her speak of him? Not only does he rub me the wrong way, but I don't know if I should trust him either.
How come the Queen never speaks about you then?
Don't be worried about that matter. I'm really helping the Queen. The thing that matters is that we both have the best interests of the Queen in mind.
I'll go with the top one for now. If the Queen trusts this man, I should too. The fact that I dislike his attitude doesn't mean he has bad intentions.
You're right. At the end of the day, what we do for the Queen is the most important thing of all.
So you're a woman of duty. I appreciate that.
I am. And I hope you're a responsible man yourself.
He chuckles, then extends his hand to me. I stare at it for a moment, but finally take it.
Call me Hale.
I would prefer not to.
That reply makes him laugh again.
Very well, Dahlia dear.
I don't appreciate you calling me by my name either. We both serve the Queen. Let's leave it at that.
Hale winks at me. I glare in response.
I hope I can change your mind in the future.
What a relentless man. I feel like I have found a fierce opponent. Except this interaction isn't a sparring match or real combat. We're just engaged in polite conversation. Over the next 4 years, I saw Hale Harlow a few more times, but we rarely talked. Until tonight. A fact which makes his appearance in front of me now peculiar. Oh, how I wish now that I had asked the Queen more about this man. I tried talking to her about him once, but her replies were elusive. Interesting. From what she said, I gathered Hale was doing something important for her. But what? I have no idea. Either way, he's here now saying he has something important to tell me that's connected to the Queen. I should at least hear him out. I glance at Hale. He seems like he's been watching me for a while. I blush, realizing how deep in thought I was.
What brings you to me? You said it's connected to our late Queen?
Hale no longer has that happy-go-lucky expression on his face. He seems to have sobered up. He's now the picture of seriousness. I stand a bit straighter, aware that he's got something important to tell me.
You've always been the best friend Queen Linda had.
I shake my head.
No, our relationship wasn't like that. How could a low-born noble like me be someone the Queen cherished so deeply?
Hale looks at me wide-eyed.
So you weren't even aware of the truth? Of how fond of you the Queen was?
I think about his claim for a moment. I loved the Queen with all my heart. She was my dearest friend. I want to believe that she might have returned my feelings. What if it was true and she really had felt the same way I did about our relationship? If our closeness seemed obvious to others, then maybe she really had regarded me as her best friend too.
I guess such fondness did indeed exist. At least on my side toward her.
The Queen always spoke well about you in the presence of others. She let you walk at her side. Of course she thought of you as a friend.
I nod. Happiness blooms in my heart at having someone confirm that the relationship between the Queen and I was special.
That's why what's going on right now can't continue.
What do you mean?
Elton may be the Queen's son, but he doesn't uphold her legacy. His rule will bring ruin to the country.
A gasp escapes my lips.
Don't say things like that. That's...
Treason?
Treason. I'm aware.
And you're not afraid I'll rat you out to the king?
You won't. You're too good of a person to be the cause of someone's execution.
I'm
well aware what I'm saying makes me a traitor. But I have more than just words to offer as justification. If you agree that the reign of the current king can't continue, come to the hunting cottage on the edge of the castle grounds at midnight tonight. You will find more like-minded individuals there.
My mouth gapes open as I stare at Hale, trying to comprehend his words. Did he just invite me to a meeting of rebels? Hale flashes his characteristic happy smile like he didn't just tilt my world on its axis.
Think about it.
Think about it. With that farewell, he exits my room, closing the door behind him. I don't try to stop him. I'm too busy with my racing thoughts. I can't believe a rebellion is already brewing against Elton. He's done a lot of bad in the weeks since he became king, but for a group of traitors to have already gathered, isn't it too quick? And they want me to join them? I bent my knee to Elton. I swore I would give my life to protect him. How can I go back on my word now? But what if his rule really does destroy the country? What if the group of traitors is right to want to do something about it? In the current situation, inaction is the worst choice. I should either try to change Elton's behavior or join the rebels. I certainly can't just do nothing. As someone the Queen cherished, I should have some power to influence the political climate of the kingdom, right? What should I do? Ooh, we should save. This is a very important choice. This is the one that actually matters. Let's see. I will admit, Hale is more my type of guy. Shock of shocks. But I am curious if we can actually... I don't know, Elton's... I feel like Elton's making these choices for a reason. It's just a hunch. And I don't think the reason is just that he's an ass. So I want to find out if my hunch is correct or if he is just an ass. So let's remain supportive of Elton. I have made my choice. Open rebellion is not the right way to deal with Elton, I'm sure. Yet I feel restless, unable to sleep. What if I'm wrong and Elton leads our kingdom into ruin? I toss and turn, worrying about how to influence Elton for the better, despairing at being caught in the situation at all. I wonder what Queen Linda would have done. I mean, it's her son. I have only been a knight for a few months, yet here I am stationed beside the Queen herself. Linda strolls the gardens daily and insists I walk alongside her, a custom I'm still getting used to. The day is hot. The oppressive sun bakes the stagnant air. The weather doesn't seem to bother Linda at all. Her son, however, has moped and complained during the whole of this outing. I am only 2 years older than Prince Elton, but far more mature and disciplined. Were I not, I could never have earned my knighthood.
I will not take another step along this hard, dusty path and continue to be roasted by the sun.
Oh boy, cry me a river, sweetheart. Elton veers toward the flower beds, trampling the lovely blossoms. He then orders his knight to cut away a bush so he can walk in the shade.
My prince, what is the meaning of this?
I have decided to walk in the shade of the castle wall. Since the path doesn't lead here, I have made a new path.
Your Highness, I beg you to use caution. These shrubs are quite delicate. A few wrong cuts and...
I will cut down any shrub I choose! Knights, clear this entire area!
Why have you been like this all along?
Please, Your Highness. Some of these plants were gifts from our allies. I have taken great pride in caring for them.
I don't care! When I am king, I may simply have the gardens removed altogether.
Elton issues the order to his knights, and they reluctantly hack away at the shrubbery, trampling other plants as they do so. I look at Linda, who seems unconcerned. How can she ignore Elton's actions? She loves these gardens so much. Yeah, why did she? gonna remain quiet again. Perhaps Linda has simply been lost in thought and not noticed the commotion. I try to think of the most appropriate way to alert her. The concern must show on my face because Linda halts and turns to me.
Dahlia, do you think me a heavy-handed ruler?
Of course not, Your Majesty.
Do you think me too lenient?
I like that Dahlia is still the same age, but Elton is much smaller, even though there's like 2 years between. It's funny. I take a moment to consider. She's clearly testing me.
Your Majesty tends to favor the side of mercy, but is unafraid to deliver swift punishment when appropriate.
Linda lets out a hearty laugh.
Spoken like a true noble. You were diligent in your studies, I see. I prefer honesty over formality from my personal knight.
Yes, Your Majesty.
As for Elton, do you find his behavior troubling?
I take a deep breath, fighting my instincts to give Linda a proper and politically neutral answer.
I think it is unbecoming of the prince to damage these gardens and threaten to have them destroyed. It's especially troubling because he seems not to care how much you love them.
Linda says nothing in response. She continues walking along the garden path, and I keep pace beside her. We reach a fountain surrounded by trellises of ivy. I know this spot to be one of Linda's favorites.
If these gardens were destroyed, what do you suppose would happen next?
Destroyed? By the prince?
It doesn't matter by whom. Whether by Elton, an enemy, or an act of nature. Somehow the gardens have been completely ruined. What happens next?
I look around, trying to imagine the lush gardens in ruins. Plants uprooted and torn apart, the soil cracked and barren, the fountain crumbling. It's a little intense to picture, but I fight down my emotions. If anything, this vision steels my resolve to prevent such a tragedy. Linda patiently awaits my answer. I gather myself and turn to her.
Should the gardens be destroyed, we would restore them. We would rebuild and replant, and make the new garden even more splendid than the one we had lost.
Linda smiles, but says nothing. After a moment, we continue our walk. Interesting. Is he destroying what his mother created to forge a new path for himself? Is that what he's doing? And so we're like, it'll be more splendid afterwards? We'll rebuild? I wake from the dream, unsure exactly what it meant. Linda and I walked often in the gardens together, but I can't recall that specific conversation. Was I reliving a memory, or were my dreams trying to tell me something else? Curiouser and curiouser. I'm still thinking about the dream as I take my place at court. I'm so distracted that I almost forget to acknowledge Elton when he enters.
Let's get this over with.
Such a ray of sunshine. He's clearly in an even fouler mood than usual today, which does not bode well. The first few matters are relatively trivial, merely permits and decrees that need clarification. Elton shows little interest and delegates the actual problem-solving to his ministers, who I must admit will probably make better decisions than he could. The next advisor to enter, though, looks more worried.
Your Majesty, I've come bearing grave news. I have just visited the kingdom's grain stores. They're quite low.
How does this issue concern me?
Sire, I fear we may not have enough of a supply to last through the coming winter. If we do not act quickly, your people may starve.
Elton says nothing. He seems insulted to have been bothered by this matter, despite how severe the consequences could be.
If it pleases your highness, I would like to establish a trade agreement with one of our neighboring kingdoms.
I cannot remember the royal advisors being so timid with Linda. They always brought their concerns to her with the confidence that she would act on their recommendations.
Can't the farmers just make more grain? Why don't we just work them harder?
The fields are producing at capacity, sire. It is simply a bad year for grain. This problem happens sometimes and...
Silence! Obviously, the fields are not producing at capacity, or there wouldn't be a shortage. I will not have you diminish this nation's greatness by groveling to our enemies for their scraps.
The advisor is dumbfounded. Elton's willful ignorance and irrational anger have only made the situation worse. If there was ever a time to intervene, this is it. Ooh, how do I want to do this? I want to save. I really don't know how to handle this boy, honestly. Well, let's try addressing the king. That's probably a bad idea, but... I turn to face Elton. He's so focused on the advisor that he doesn't notice my movement.
Your Majesty, this matter requires swift and decisive action.
Elton, the advisor, and everyone else in the throne room is looking at me now. I take a breath.
Your Majesty may not recall, but several years ago we had a similar problem. Your mother, Queen Linda, sought fit to seek trade for grain, which saved the kingdom from famine. The people of Thorntone admired and respected the Queen for her leadership in that difficult time.
I stop short of explicitly telling Elton what to do, hoping I've said enough. He scowls at me, and I brace myself for his wrath. Perhaps I should not have said anything.
Did I ask for your counsel, knight?
No.
No, Your Majesty.
Elton addresses the advisor without taking his gaze off of me.
Advisor! Does this knight speak the truth?
Yes, Your Majesty. 8 years or so ago, we secured trade with Old Orna, at the Queen's command.
Elton says nothing for a moment, still staring me down, anger still burning in his eyes.
Very well. Send a ship.
The advisor leaves, and for a moment I wonder what the next audience will bring.
I will see no one else today. Everyone out!
Oh boy, we're in for it. He turns to me, fury deepening the lines of his face, making him look far older than I know him to be.
Except you, knight. You stay.
We're in for it. I try to swallow my apprehension about this development. Elton could have me imprisoned or executed for my actions. All I can do now is wait while the other courtiers leave the throne room. Once just Elton and I remain, he approaches and stands close, regarding me with hateful eyes.
Need I remind you that I am the king, sovereign ruler of Thorntone?
No, Your Majesty.
Then why do you feel it necessary to interfere in the affairs of my court?
I stand at attention, saying nothing, as is my place. Perhaps good behavior will calm him down.
Well, you had no problem speaking up before. Answer me!
Perhaps not. I'd better say something. Oof. Spicy choices here. Flatter him, empathize, and flattering does not sound good. I don't know if empathize will work either. He might be like, oh, don't try to pretend you know what it's like to be me. I don't know that anyone's ever insulted him before. I'm curious. I don't think flatter. I'm gonna try insulting. I'll get my head chopped off, we'll come back, we'll empathize. It'll be fine. If Elton is going to condemn me to the dungeon or the guillotine, I might as well speak my mind.
The way you address your subjects is disgraceful. You're king, yet you act like a petulant child.
Get him, girl.
Someone had to be the adult in the room. Someone had to think of the citizens of Thorntone.
Get him, girl.
How dare you! No one speaks to the king this way!
Perhaps it's time someone did.
I will not tolerate such disrespect!
Well then, Your Majesty, you had better do something to earn some respect.
Oh, get him.
My actions are not your concern! Your job is to protect me, nothing more.
Your subjects suffer under your rule. I cannot protect you from all of them.
Is that a threat?
Must your majesty really ask a lowly knight to interpret such a trite conversation?
Trite. Elton shivers with fury, but he takes too long to form a comeback. Rather than let the silence eat at me, I storm out of the throne room. Mic drop, I'm out of here. I return to my room, expecting the guard to arrest me at any moment. Much as I try, I cannot stop thinking about Elton. As we argued, he almost seemed to enjoy it. Yeah, I had a feeling. And despite fearing the consequences, I think I might have too. The guard does not come. The next day, I resume my normal duties, wary but oddly excited for my next run-in with Elton. Oh, she's gone. Girl's gone. She's gone. Another week passes. Elton continues to make unwise and unfair decisions in court. I choose carefully when to interfere. Each time I incur his wrath, I fear I may have stepped too far above my station. Though Elton has yet to formally punish me, I am growing tired of this routine. I worry my efforts have made little difference. One night, Hale knocks at my door.
Dahlia, dear. I was disappointed that you missed my last get-together.
I know, sweetie.
But I hear you've taken your own approach to our common concern.
I have. I allow Hale to enter and close the door behind him.
Has anything changed?
What, no small talk? No time for witty banter?
No.
I should have expected as much. You're all business, which is why I wanted your help in the first place. I know what you've been doing, trying to influence Elton. It isn't working.
It isn't? I thought I was starting to change his mind.
Your influence on the court has only proven how poor of a ruler he is.
Oof.
Why argue with Elton when you could just join us and be the queen?
Oh, that was the plan? You were gonna make her queen? Dang.
What? I could never!
You were close to Linda. Your actions in court show you are far more capable of upholding her legacy than Elton. It's not too late to reconsider. Dahlia, dear, join us.
The offer is tempting, I admit. It would be far easier to guide the kingdom from the throne. Damn, she's just like, yes. But pursuing the throne just doesn't feel right. To depose Elton would be to betray Linda, something I refuse to do.
No. There is still hope for Elton. I'm going to keep trying.
I think you're being naive.
I just need a little more time. I can get through to him. I know I can.
Hale sighs and raises his hood, then he opens the door to leave.
You have 2 weeks, Dahlia, dear. After that time, you will either join our side or
perish. He trails off, then disappears into the night. Sorry, Hale. Hale's words echo through my mind the next day, even as I try to focus on training.
Keep your guard up. I can't be held responsible if you don't even attempt to parry.
I'm sorry. I'm a bit distracted today.
Distraction in battle will get you killed. If you can't focus, don't fight.
He's right, of course, but these doubts will follow me whether I'm training or not.
Have at you!
I do better in the next exchange, but I'm tired, slow. I struggle to parry and offer half-hearted riposts. My partner and I are interrupted by Elton's mocking laughter.
Your tongue appears to have grown sharp, while your blade has gone dull.
Oh!
If this is all you're capable of in combat, maybe I would be better off protecting myself.
Elton seems to have come here deliberately to frustrate me. My training partner is ignorant of this silly intention, however, and takes Elton's accusation seriously.
Your Majesty, I assure you we are all prepared to die defending the throne.
Yes, that much I believe. But I have no use for dead knights. Go find another sparring partner.
The other knight salutes and hurries off. Elton regards me.
And what about you? Are you also prepared to die for me?
I'm not sure what game Elton is playing at, so I offer the proper reply.
I pledge my sword and my strength to the throne of Thorntone, Your Majesty.
Ah, but not to him specifically.
Then let's see just how much strength that is.
Elton strides to the equipment rack and draws a sword, then turns to face me.
What say you? Will you entertain a challenge from your king?
Ah, yeah, I've been waiting for this. Just yield. I think we should do this. Elton is an incredible fool with no inkling of the threat he faces. Were I involved in Hale's rebellion, the king would have just given me the perfect opportunity to assassinate him. I have no intention of doing so, of course, but Elton needs to be taught a lesson or two. I nod, accepting his challenge.
Prepare to taste my power!
Unlimited power! He charges directly at me, sword held aloft, exposed, and defenseless. On the battlefield, he'd already be dead. I let him bring the sword down, then I parry to catch it. With a twist, I wrench the weapon from Elton's hands. The sword clatters to the ground between us. I resume a defensive stance while Elton glares at me.
I believe you dropped something, Your Majesty.
Elton growls and snatches the sword from the dirt. He tries to strike low in the same motion, thinking he surprised me. I parry behind Elton's swing, adding my weapon's momentum to his and forcing him to overextend. The sword flies free of Elton's hands and he tumbles to the ground. I can't help but laugh.
Perhaps Your Majesty should continue to rely on me, after all.
Elton gets to his feet, seething. He looks around and notices everyone in the courtyard staring at him. I hold my sword before me at the ready.
Another round, Your Majesty?
Elton looks tempted, but his eyes glint with something other than fury. He's actually having fun. Yep, because everybody let him do whatever he wanted when he was a kid, and you're standing up to him. This is what he wanted. Yes! Get it, girl. He thinks better of taking me up on my offer, though. Elton dusts himself off, stands erect, and speaks loudly enough for everyone to hear.
A rematch will be unnecessary, Lady Dahlia. You have passed my test, and may continue serving as my personal knight.
Oh, thank you for your graciousness, Your Majesty. Elton gathers his entourage and strides away from the training grounds. Only when he looks back at me do I realize I've been staring at him the whole time. We lock eyes, and a part of me wishes he'd stayed longer. Girl's gone. Girl's gone! Another week passes, and I worry that my efforts with Elton have done little to change his leadership style. He continues to be reckless with his power, and I continue to interfere in court, gaining nothing but his ire. Hale has not been back to see me, so I have no news of the rebellion. I doubt he would trust me with that information now anyway. I return to my room following an afternoon's training to find a bouquet of flowers on my bed. They're dahlias, and they've been freshly cut. They remind me of Linda. A tear slides down my cheek. I miss her terribly. I wish I could ask for her guidance. There's a note attached to the bouquet requesting that I come to the gardens at midnight. The page isn't signed, but it bears the royal crest. Curiouser and curiouser. Though I suspect Elton sent the note, I can't be sure. There's no need for him to be clandestine. He can summon me for a private audience whenever he chooses. Moonlight guides me along the path to where the dahlias grow, our implied meeting place. I can see no one, but I know I'm not alone. I pull down my hood, silently announcing myself. After a moment, Elton steps out of the shadows.
Do you make a habit of meeting strangers in the gardens at night?
Only when they send flowers, Your Majesty.
Good.
You are the most irritating person I know.
Would you like me to fetch you a mirror?
Likewise, Your Majesty.
You constantly undermine and interfere and meddle. And when I'm finally free of your presence, I can't stop thinking about you.
Oh, that is very irritating.
I spend countless hours ruminating on our quarrels, continuing the arguments in my head. You cast doubt on my ability to rule this kingdom, and you invite discord among my courtiers. And yet, I have not seen fit to punish your insolence. I want to. You deserve it. But I cannot.
He stares at me, an intense look that I can't quite read. Silence hangs heavy in the air between us for a moment.
With all due respect, Your Majesty, stop whining.
Elton scowls and opens his mouth to speak, but I cut him off.
Do you think I enjoy this constant battle with you? Do you think I have a moment's peace? Every night, I worry if my actions have been worth the personal risk I'm taking for the good of this kingdom. And every morning, I dread whatever foolish, selfish, thoughtless decision you will make next.
It's your own fault. If you had stayed silent, we wouldn't have this problem.
If I'd stayed silent, the kingdom would be in ruins already.
So I suppose we're just stuck making each other crazy then.
Well, I guess we just should get married at that point.
I suppose so.
Then something happens. Something unexpected, something irrational, something inexplicable, inconceivable. As I argue with the king, a real, personal, unrestrained argument, my inhibitions crumble. I forget protocol and procedure. I forget the chain of command. I forget my place, and I can see Elton doing the same. We are open and honest and furious and completely emotionally entangled with one another. And suddenly, we're kissing! Yay! Wow. Whew! Holy... Hold on a second. That's not the right button. There we go. I'm pleased with this outcome. Not with that one, though. There we go. The kiss happened so quickly, I have no idea which of us initiated it. But here we are, wrapped in each other's arms. The kiss begins frantically, desperately, little more than the collision of our bodies and lips, limbs grasping for any purchase. Then we settle into a rhythm, boiling lust reduced to simmering passion. He holds me close but still gently, and the warmth of our bodies mingle in the cool night air. Everything I know about Elton, all his expressions and tics and habits that annoyed me only moments before, are suddenly comforting. Even after we separate, the kiss lingers between us, and I know we are both changed.
Dahlia, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
It's okay, Elton.
I think you both were equally responsible there.
No, it's not. I cannot. A leader must not show any vulnerability.
After what just happened, you would have to be an idiot to believe that nonsense.
You see, I finally acknowledge my feelings for you, and you call me an idiot.
In a loving way.
Only because you're trying to push those feelings away now. The best leaders, leaders like your mother, are great because they are vulnerable. You are a good man, Elton. Let your people see that side of you, and they will follow you through any hardship. If you continue to hide behind this brash persona, I fear the worst for all of us.
Elton takes a long breath and looks away. When he turns back to me, he is smiling.
I will try. For all of us. But especially for you.
Aww. We kiss again, softly and more tenderly. Before parting, we agree to keep our rendezvous a secret for now. Elton promises that he will formally court me once he has put the kingdom's affairs back in order. I return to my room, my entire body tingling. I am still awake when the sun rises. Okay, well, this is like, I think the 2 weeks are up now for the rebellion. Another week passes, and I accompany Elton to a grand parade in honor of Linda's birthday. I have heard nothing from Hale, and I have grown even more wary of the rebellion. This event would be the perfect stage for a coup, despite the fact that such action would be an unforgivable insult to Linda's memory. Should I have told Elton about Hale? I still believe I made the right choice by trying to improve things peacefully. Still, the threat lingers. As I follow Elton to the courtyard we usually use for training, I scrutinize the crowd. Elton has just mounted his open carriage when I notice movement on the castle wall. It's Hale, and his bow is drawn! I climb into the carriage, trying to position myself between Elton and Hale.
What is the meaning of this?
Take cover, Your Majesty!
I raise my shield and block Hale's arrow. Astonishment and panic rise in the assembled crowd.
Archer on the wall! Guards, lock down the castle!
The other knights in the castle guard fan out to search for the would-be assassin. I stay by Elton's side, scanning for other threats. Hale is captured swiftly and brought to the courtyard along with a few nobles who were caught trying to help him. Sorry, Hale.
Such treachery shall not stand! These traitors are to be executed on the morrow.
Our deaths will stop nothing! The longer you abuse your power, the more of us shall rise!
Elton takes a breath and turns to the murmuring crowd.
It is true. I have failed to live up to my mother's legacy. Queen Linda was far from perfect, but she was just and kind. And she led Thorntone fairly. I admit I was unprepared to take the throne when my mother passed, and I have been reckless.
So you admit to your incompetence! Step down from the throne!
The crowd stirs. The nobles eye each other with suspicion, and some in the guard seem ready to move in. Elton raises his hands to quiet the commotion.
I admit to no such thing. I recognize that in the past weeks I have made poor choices. Fortunately, my most steadfast knight has been quick to point out my many errors.
Elton turns and gestures me forward. I stand beside him before the crowd.
Lady Dahlia served the late queen for 10 years. She exudes the qualities of my mother's prosperous rule. My mother trusted her, and so do I. She has inspired me to reconsider my recent decisions. With Lady Dahlia's help, I vow to be an honest and fair king, and to serve you as my mother would have done.
Long live Thorntone! Long live the king!
The crowd erupts in cheers. Hale scowls and tries to shout over them until the knights lead him away. Elton bids me sit beside him in the carriage, and the parade proceeds with much jubilation. He smiles at me, and I cannot contain my own happiness. I try to convince Hale to beg for mercy, but he refuses. The next day, he is beheaded along with several co-conspirators. Dang, Hale, I'm sorry. Elton makes good on his promise, reversing the unjust taxes and several of his other bad judgments. Ruling fairly isn't easy for him, and sometimes he still loses his temper, but I am by his side and ready to step in. I speak freely in court, and though Elton and I argue often, I do not fear retribution. Though we may disagree, he respects my point of view. A few more agitators are arrested, but for the most part the rebellion has died. I am grateful every day for the time I was in Linda's service, for the lessons she taught me, and for the future I will help to shape.
I understood your point on the matter. You didn't have to insult me.
It was the only way to get you to relent.
Court has ended for the day, and as usual, Elton and I have disagreed on a few matters.
Well, at any rate, it is done. We shall see how your approach works out.
He dismisses the other courtiers, but I remain behind.
Care to walk with me today, Dahlia?
Of course.
I love that they were arguing, then he's like, you don't have to be so mean. Yes, I did. Okay, well, will you hold my hand while we go through the garden? Okay. You goobers. We have made a habit of strolling the castle gardens after holding court. The time together is always pleasant, even on trying days like today. Elton kept his promise to formally court me, but I have also remained in his service as a knight. The nobles grumble about decorum, but this arrangement has allowed us to know one another in all aspects of our lives. Suddenly, I stopped short. Where the dahlias should be blooming, there is only bare earth.
What has happened here?
I didn't know how to tell you, but the groundskeeper informed me this morning that the dahlias were gone.
Why? Who would do such a thing?
I promise we will get to the bottom of this mystery.
He is trying to be serious, but failing.
You know something. What did you do?
Not me.
I cross my arms and scowl at him.
If this is your idea of a prank, it's not funny. Where are the Dahlias?
Okay, fine, I'll show you. Follow me.
Elton leads me down a path I don't recognize. It must be new because the grass grows in patches around freshly paced paving stones. We wend our way through full green shrubberies until we reach a clearing, and then I gasp. A beautiful white gazebo has been constructed here, surrounded by the relocated dahlias. A marble sculpture of Queen Linda stands in the center of the gazebo.
I had the dahlias moved because I know how much they meant to her, and how much they mean to you.
Oh, Elton! This monument is so lovely!
She deserves her own place in these gardens. A great shrine for a great queen. And I consider myself lucky to be in the company of more than one great queen.
Oh? I turn to him and see that he is on one knee, his arms extended toward me. In one hand, Elton holds a bouquet of dahlias, and in the other, a magnificent engagement ring.
Dahlia, will you do me the honor of taking my hand in marriage?
Of course. Yes.
Elton slips the ring onto my finger, and we embrace, then I kiss him passionately. After months of planning, Elton and I are wed in a lovely ceremony. As queen, I now have the full respect of the court, though several of the nobles still question my opinions, because of course they do. Elton and I disagree on policy from time to time, and we both make mistakes, but we do our best to rule well. We are truly happy together. Our passion and our partnership drive the kingdom forward to a new era of prosperity. Soon, we will welcome our first child into the world, and we will pass on all the wisdom that Queen Linda taught us. Elton romance ending, Night Takes King! That's the best name for an ending. I love that. I love that! Oh, it was so cute! I enjoyed the heck out of that. I'm glad. I could have gone for like the gritty rebel boy, which is what my heart's desire normally is, but I am glad I stuck it out with that asshole king. Because that was very satisfying. I had a great time with that. Guys, thank you very much for joining me for this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to do what I did not, romance the rebel, I'm sure there's other endings with Elton you can get as well. I think there's a route where you can be friends as well, at the very least. I think you can romance or be friends with Elton and Hale. I don't know if there's a way to romance Elton and have Hale keep his head. I don't know if that's possible. But maybe you can find out. If you would like to find out, I will have a link to this game on Itch.io down below. It's free, so I hope you will check it out and give these guys some support, because this was an enjoyable little thing. I had a lot of fun with it. Thank you again, Transparent Games, for a fun adventure. I enjoyed my time with it. And that is it for me today. Until next time, guys, I will see you later.